The moment it happened, the house was unusually quiet. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. Emily stepped into the living room carrying a basket of laundry, expecting to find her 9-month-old son babbling to himself or banging toys against the floor. Instead, she froze. Right in the center of the rug, her baby, Leo, was wrapped in the massive, shaggy chest of their 150-pound dog, Atlas. His tiny arms reached up as if trying to hug every inch of the giant creature towering over him. Atlas wasn't moving. His head was rigid, his muscles locked, his huge frame curved protectively around the baby in a way that didn't look playful, didn't look normal. For a heartbeat, Emily couldn't even process what she was seeing. Then something in her instincts snapped awake. She dropped the basket without realizing it, clothes spilling across the floor as she lunged forward. Atlas! Her voice cracked, trembling between fear and disbelief. The dog didn't flinch. He didn't turn. He didn't even look at her. His entire focus was locked on Leo, like he was bracing for something she couldn't see. Her pulse hammered through her ears. The scene didn't make sense. Nothing about it matched the gentle giant she trusted. Leo's cheek was pressed against the dog's fur, his little hands curling and uncurling. And still, Atlas remained unnaturally stiff, as though he were waiting for a moment that hadn't arrived yet. Emily reached for her son, panic flooding her chest so quickly it almost stole her breath. Something was wrong. She didn't know what, but she felt it, sharp and cold, cutting through her like a warning she was already too late to decipher. Atlas suddenly shifted his weight, pressing closer to Leo, and that movement, small but decisive, sent adrenaline surging through her. "Leo, baby, come here," she whispered, her voice trembling as she reached down, terrified of what she might find the second she touched him. Before the moment that changed everything, Atlas had never been a source of concern. He had been part of their home long before Leo was born. Jared brought him home at 8 weeks old, a wrinkled ball of deep brown fluff with paws that looked too big for his body. "He's going to be enormous," the vet had laughed on his first visit, and she wasn't wrong. By the time Atlas turned 3, he weighed nearly as much as Emily. Despite his size, Atlas had always been gentle. He wasn't the kind of dog who barked at neighbors or chased after delivery trucks. He was quiet, observant, almost thoughtful, like he understood the rhythm of their household better than anyone else. Emily often called him the calmest heartbeat in the home. When Leo was born, Atlas changed. Not in a dramatic way, not jealous, not confused, just different. The moment they carried Leo through the front door swaddled in a blue blanket, Atlas approached slowly, lowered his head, and exhaled as though memorizing the baby's scent. From that moment, he stayed close. Always close. Jared found it amusing. "He thinks he's the kid's security detail," he would joke while stepping over Atlas, who positioned himself beside Leo's bassinet. Emily admired it. Leo would giggle when the dog's nose brushed against his belly. When he started crawling, Atlas followed in slow motion, one paw at a time, careful not to bump him. By the time Leo learned to pull himself upright by gripping Atlas' fur, the two were inseparable. But Emily noticed subtleties Jared never paid attention to: the stillness in Atlas when Leo cried, the way he positioned himself between doorways, or the way his eyes tracked every movement the baby made. Not out of suspicion. Something closer to responsibility. Something larger than instinct. And yet, she never imagined how important that instinct would become. The first time Emily really noticed something was off, Leo had just learned to crawl. It was midday, sunlight streaming through the blinds, and she set him on the playmat while she folded laundry on the sofa. Leo squealed happily and began crawling toward the hallway, straight toward the tiled kitchen floor. Before Emily could react, Atlas appeared from nowhere, nudged Leo sideways with his nose, and then sprawled his entire body across the hallway, opening like a living barricade. Leo giggled and slapped his hands against Atlas' fur as though it were a new game. Emily laughed too, thinking nothing of it. But Atlas didn't move, not for minutes. Not until Emily physically picked Leo up. After that, the strange behaviors multiplied. If Leo crawled near the back door, Atlas positioned himself there first. If Leo tried climbing the steps, Atlas would physically block him, gently nudging him backward. When Leo moved too quickly, Atlas' head would jerk up like a soldier reacting to an alarm. And then there was the sound. Some nights, just after midnight, Atlas would trot to Leo's crib and sit there, watching. Not whining. Not begging for attention. Just watching, as if monitoring something invisible. Emily once woke up to silence, the unusual kind, and walked down the hall. Atlas was already there, staring into the crib with an intensity that looked almost human. Leo slept soundly, unaware. More unsettling moments followed. At family gatherings, if anyone new tried holding Leo, Atlas would stand so close his fur brushed the person's knees. If Leo played with toys that had small parts, Atlas sniffed them and then sat on the floor, eyes sharp, posture stiff. Jared called it loyalty. Emily called it vigilance. But the truth was, Atlas wasn't behaving like a dog guarding territory. He was behaving like someone scanning for danger before anyone else could see it. And though Emily noticed the pattern, she still believed it was nothing more than instinct. She had no idea that Atlas wasn't reacting to what was happening. He was reacting to something that hadn't happened yet. It happened on a warm afternoon, sunlight scattered through the living room like gold dust. Emily had stepped into the kitchen to rinse a bottle, leaving Leo on the thick rug a few feet away. When she turned back, Leo had already crawled toward Atlas, who lay stretched across the floor. The baby reached him, pulled himself upright using the dog's fur as leverage, and then leaned forward in clumsy affection. His arms wrapped around Atlas' neck, soft, unsteady, trusting. Atlas didn't move. Not at first. His body tensed beneath the baby's weight, muscles hardening, tail lowering flat against the floor. His ears pinned back. Emily walked toward them slowly, smiling, thinking the moment was sweet, until Leo slumped harder into the dog's chest, and Atlas suddenly shifted position. He wasn't settling. He was restraining. In one abrupt motion, Atlas curved his body around Leo, pressing the baby gently, but firmly, toward the carpet. Emily's heart lurched. To her eyes, it looked like a pinning move. Something dangerous. Something controlling. She ran, hands shaking, breath caught between instinct and terror. Atlas, no. Move. But Atlas didn't budge. His nose pressed close to Leo's cheek. His paws locked to the floor. His eyes, dark, fixed, and unblinking, weren't on Leo at all. They were staring past Emily, toward the doorway behind her, as though bracing for something she hadn't yet realized. Emily reached down and grabbed Leo under his arms. For a single terrifying moment, the baby felt heavier than usual. Limp, not stiff, not crying. Just heavy. Leo. Her voice cracked. Baby, wake up. Atlas jerked forward again, nudging Leo's stomach with urgent force, low whines rumbling from deep in his chest. Not defensive sounds. Not angry. Almost pleading. Emily lifted her son into her arms. Leo's head rolled backward. His face wasn't red. It wasn't blue. But something was wrong. His eyes were dull, unfocused, blinking slow, as if fighting to stay awake. His little mouth opened, but the breath that escaped was thin and weak. Emily sank onto her knees. Leo. Leo, look at Mommy. Atlas pressed against her side, whining louder now, pawing at Leo's belly. Emily's panic fully bloomed, not because of what Atlas had done, but because of what he was desperately trying to fix. Emily didn't wait to understand. She couldn't. She grabbed her keys, scooped Leo into her arms, and rushed toward the car with Atlas pacing circles around her, whining urgently in a pitch she had never heard before. By the time they reached the emergency room, Leo's body was slack, breath shallow, eyelids fluttering like someone fighting sleep against their will. The nurse didn't hesitate. One glance at Leo's chest, struggling to rise, was enough. Within seconds, Emily was ushered behind double doors, surrounded by white coats, beeping monitors, and fluorescent light that felt cold against her panic. "His breathing is compromised," a doctor said, voice clipped with urgency. "We need suction. Now." Emily stood frozen, arms crossed over her chest, nails digging into skin. She wanted to help. She could do nothing. She wanted explanations. No one was speaking yet. All she heard were instructions, alarms, and the faint sound of her child laboring for air. Minutes blurred into something that felt like hours. Finally, a doctor stepped forward holding a small object no larger than a grape. Wet, slightly swollen, unmistakably lodged. "It was blocking his airway," he said. "It must have shifted deeper. That's why he went quiet so quickly." Emily blinked hard. But he wasn't choking. He wasn't coughing. "Silent choking," he explained. "Dogs detect respiratory distress by scent and rhythm changes. It's not uncommon among service animals." Her entire world steadied, then rewrote itself. Atlas hadn't pinned Leo down. He had been keeping him alive. The hospital released Leo 2 days later. He was alert again, laughing, reaching for Emily's earrings the way he always had. But back home, something had changed. Emily moved differently. Slower, more aware. Jared hovered, watching Leo's breathing even when he slept. And Atlas stayed close, never more than a few feet away. Emily checked the security footage. She posted a clip online. Within hours, millions watched. Headlines named Atlas a hero. Strangers commented through tears. Specialists admired his instinct. But Atlas rested unaware, curled beside Leo, nose pressed to his tiny hand. Life after the incident settled differently. Atlas no longer watched Leo out of curiosity. He watched him out of devotion. If Leo sat too still, Atlas nudged him. If Leo toddled near a door, Atlas blocked it. When Leo slept, Atlas lay beneath the crib, alert but peaceful. Leo will never remember any of it. But his life will always bear its imprint. Because sometimes protection isn't loud, it is silent, instinctive, and given by the ones who ask for nothing in return.